any rational number multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. Now you're saying, what is this guy talking about? Your parents are sitting there going, I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, watch. It's very, very simple. The reciprocal of any rational number is the following. The reciprocal of 5 over 3 would be 3 over 5. The reciprocal of 2 over 5 would be 5 over 2. So basically what you're doing is you're flipping the numerator and the denominator. Seems pretty simple, correct? Let's do one more. The reciprocal of 27 over 36 is 36 over 27. It's that simple. Now in the case of a whole number, if someone asks you, what's the, and they're pretty weird if they ask you the reciprocal of 5, but let's say it's a math question. Let's say the math book says, well, what's the reciprocal of 5? The first thing you do is you turn it into an improper fraction, and we all know how to do that. 5 over 1. Then you flip it. And the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. Just like the reciprocal of 6 would be 1/6. Do you get that? If you have to pause just to get that, I need you to get that. Now let's take the other scenario which we discussed today. The other scenario was, what happens if someone asks you the reciprocal of a mixed number? First you have to turn it into a rational number. Turn it into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 plus 1 is 9. Keep the denominator the same. Then you flip it, and the reciprocal of 2 1/4 is 4 over 9. First move is to turn it rational. That's not the answer. Once you turn it to a rational number, then you flip it. Let's try one more, and then we're going to move on. 3 1/3. The reciprocal of 3 1/3. I want you to think about it for a second. Okay, you probably have the answer, and I'm just going to confirm. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Always keep the denominator the same. That's the rational number. The flip, or the reciprocal, is 3 over 10. Okay, so that's what we mean by finding the reciprocal of a number. Now, the definition of a reciprocal says, okay, any number multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. Well, let's take any number. 1/4 times its reciprocal, 4 over 1, equals 4 over 4, which we all know is 1. Let's take another number. 2/3 times its reciprocal is 3 over 2. 6 over 6 equals 1. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. But any number multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. Let's try a whole number. 5 multiplied by its reciprocal. So when you multiply, you must turn your whole number into an improper fraction. 5 over 1 times its reciprocal is 5 over 5, which equals 1. Okay, so that's the idea right there. So now, how do we use a reciprocal when we're dividing fractions? Let's do the following. In the book, well, let's just take any fraction. Any fraction. I'll do 7/8 divided by 1/8. here's what you do. It's a 3-step process. You keep the first fraction, which is the numerator. You change the division to multiplication. And you multiply by the reciprocal, holy smokes! Let me spell that right. Reciprocal. You multiply by the reciprocal, we call it the flip, the KCF, 8/1. Now, my students should know now, when you multiply and you have the same number opposite each other, the greatest common factor is going to be itself, and that will give me 1. And then I will get 7 times 1 and 1 times 1, which will give me 7/1, which is 7. The only time that you keep, change, flip, or multiply by the reciprocal is when you are dividing fractions. Do you understand? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Mr. O, how am I doing?
Great.
Thank you very much. Am I forgetting anything?
No.
All right, let's do a couple of problems that are in the book. Let's see. What do they give us in the book? Not many. Let's try this one. 9/10 divided by 2/5. This is in the book. 9/10 divided by 2/5. Keep 9/10. Change division to multiplication. Flip, which is the reciprocal, 5/2. And I get 9/10 times 5/2. I look at the 9. I look at the 2. Is there a number that goes evenly into the 9 and 2? No? You don't know? Okay, I'll tell you. No. Let's go over here. Let's look at this. 5 and 10. Is there a number that goes evenly into 5 and 10? Mr. O?
5.
5. Thank you, Mr. O. So what you do is you take that 5 and you divide both by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now I simply have 9 times 1. That's a 1. 9 times 1. And 2 times 2, which gives me 9/4. Everybody should know this is an improper fraction. So how do we simplify an improper fraction? Mr. O?
Divide.
Divide is correct. Let me tell you something. You're pretty good at this math stuff. So the numerator goes in the house. 4 goes into 9 twice. 4 times 2 is 8. My remainder now becomes the new numerator. Always keep the denominator the same. And the answer is 2 1/4. Let's check it. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. 9/4. I'm going to put one more on the board. And I think everybody pretty much is going to get this. I'm going to put up one that has, this will actually be tomorrow's lesson. I'm going to put up 2 1/4 divided by 1 1/8. Any time in this class that we do division, multiplication, subtraction, or addition, we're going to change our mixed numbers to improper fractions before we start. So now I'm going to say 4 times 2 is 8 and 1 is 9. 9/4 divided by 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9/8. At this point, for division only, you keep, change, flip, which means multiply by the reciprocal. That's the technical name. You multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to keep the first one, 9/4. Let me write that neatly. 9/4. I'm going to change the division to multiplication. and I'm going to flip my 9/8 to 8/9. Now, look how beautiful that comes out. Mr. Ordonez, help me out here. These two 9s, what do they become?
1 and 1. 9 is in common.
And Mr. Ordonez, help me out because I know my students are going, oh, I got this. All my students know. What is a number that goes evenly into 8 and 4? And don't tell me 2. Don't tell me 2, man. What is it?
4.
Thank you, sir. 4 goes into 4 once. 8 divided by 4, 2. So now I have a very simple 1 times 2 and 1 times 1. And I get 2 over 1, which everybody should know by now, is 2. So, in actuality, when you divide fractions, you end up multiplying by the reciprocal. So what we learned right now in this video is, 1, how to get the reciprocal. Whether we have a whole number or a mixed number, you should be able to find the reciprocal by turning both into an improper fraction and then flipping it. Don't forget that. When we divide and you have a mixed number, the first thing you must do is, before you do anything for any of the operations, is turn your mixed numbers into improper fractions. If there are any questions, if you want to know anything, come ready tomorrow in the morning. I don't want to talk about the Dolphins because you and I both know they're horrible. And I just want to do the math. So if you have questions, please raise your hand. Let me know. I want everybody to come prepared. I just want to go over one last thing, and then we'll end the video. Everybody tomorrow and going forth from here, I don't ever want to ask anybody in my room if they could turn, if they know how to turn any mixed number into an improper fraction. They need to know how to do it. It's 8 times 3 plus 1. So what you do is you multiply the denominator times the whole number. The denominator times the whole number, and you add the numerator. And you always keep the denominator the same. Now let's check this out. The denominator times the whole number is 24. You add the numerator, which is 1, which would be 25, and you always keep the denominator the same. So that you must know. We must know how to simplify, and we must know how to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions. Tomorrow, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.